Hey, Zeke of Talking Lead, left hand here too.
Right.
And Rob Pincus is back with us again. And we're going to do a little more training here.
And we're at the Nashville Armory, and here we go. What are we doing this time, Rob?
All right, this time, obviously, I must be in horrible danger. I must be reckless, or maybe I'm a eunuch, because no sane person would ever carry appendix, right? No sane man, anyway.
That scares me.
You know, here's the thing. People... Dangerous. No, you know, a lot of people are doing this now. And the reason that people are doing this is because it's more efficient. There's so many more options that you have in terms of being able to get to the gun, being able to fight the gun, and especially being able to protect the gun in the crowd situation. I used to do some executive protection work, and that was really the only time that I ever carried appendix historically, was because in a crowd, I didn't want to have somebody bumping into me and feeling the gun, so I kind of cheated to the front. But it was really especially a niche thing. Now it's become very common, and man, you know, I wish I'd have known this 30 years ago. A whole bunch of cool things come from this. But the number one thing people are worried about is the safety issue, and I wanted to talk about that a little bit with you guys and compare it to some of the things we see with a traditional carry position.
Because it's pointing at something really important to me.
Well, here's the thing. It might be, right? Depends, maybe. But at this point, the thing that's important to remember is wherever we carry the gun, like if we think about carrying a gun aside and you're standing with the move you just made with your knee when you went to turn, you were muzzling your knee, right?
Sure.
And you think about the way a lot of people carry in the middle of the back or the small of the back, they're covering their backside. Now, you might say, if I had a choice, Rob, I'd really rather get shot in the backside than the front action there. But the reality is, we don't plan on getting shot at all when a gun is in the holster. So a lot of it has to do first and foremost with a good holster. I'm wearing the IC Training Company Crossbreed Modular Belly Band. It's a good Kydex. It's completely covering the trigger guard. You know, and that's going to be step number one, is make sure you have a good holster. Now, step number two is let's think about the draw stroke, because that's where a lot of people don't see the huge safety advantage that this actually offers. So if you'll step back a little bit, just so I don't have you downrange, what we're going to look at is on the draw stroke here. If we think about it, we get startled, we're defending ourselves, we're telling somebody, hey, back off, stop, and of course this would be concealed. Now I'm going to go to the gun. Well, as soon as I get my grip on the gun and the gun clears the holster, this muzzle is already past my body. I come up and orient, rotate, drive out, take that shot. And then, of course, reholstering, if you have a good holster, it's going to stay open, no problem. We can get the clothing out of the way and go right back to the holster. Now, what I'm going to do is I've got a gun right here that's clear. What I want to show you with this clear gun is, let's think about sometime, we've all seen this. We've all seen this at the public ranges. Maybe we see it with someone who's rushing their training. If I'm carrying back here, or even if I'm carrying on my hip, all too often we see people come up and cover themselves with an inward cant as they come out of the holster, and especially someone who's carrying in the small of the back or back here at 4 or 5 o'clock, we might see them come out and cover their whole torso, femoral artery, everything else, and this is very common. Unfortunately, we see this a lot. Now, good trigger discipline, trigger finger discipline will keep you from getting hurt, but this is something that just can't happen in the appendix position. So if anything, it's actually a safer position to present from than some of the behind the point of the hip stuff, and I think a lot of people miss that. So with any kind of draw stroke, with any kind of holster, it's important that you practice slowly, and the way I like to get people started, and I know you've never presented from appendix before, the way I like to get people started is come on out here. Just go ahead and take that paddle holster and let's just put it in that 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock position. Now, of course, that's not going to be the most comfortable in the world with that rounded paddle up against a flatter part of the body, but this is just for training, just for practice, just to try to figure this out. So come on over here. We'll set you up in front of the target. First thing you're going to do is, just like anything, your hands are going to be up either because you were startled or you were telling the guy to back off. Now we need the gun. Just reach back, get a good grip just like you normally would, and here comes the trick. You're going to come straight up out of the holster, and now rotate that gun up 90 degrees and start that rotation as you get your two-handed grip, and that's where you would shoot. Right? Come back in, assess, get the clothing out of the way, and go right back in that holster. So that's how we get people started. Real plain, real simple. We don't have to right digging through the clothes. You know, we might even tuck the clothes in behind the holster and make sure it's out of the way. 90 degrees and rotate on the way out. And then come back in and right back in. There you go.
So for a split second, you actually do get to go gangster.
You do. It's actually part of the procedure. It's, you know, what we do with the appendix carry position is just like when we teach presentation to the strong side. So in other words, if you'll hold up for a second, if I'm teaching, I'm down on the ground and I have to present from the strong side and the gun's on my hip, I come up, I get that muzzle on the thread as fast as I can. Muzzle on the thread and then rotate out. If I'm presenting to the rear from the hip, muzzle on the thread and then I rotate out. So that's essentially exactly the same concept. So much of this is concept and principle. We just apply it to a new position. So I come up, orient, and drive out. and that gets the muzzle. If I am in a close contact situation where I'm pushing somebody off, I'm controlling a knife, whatever it is, I come up here and I could actually shoot from this position if I needed to, get at least one shot off. And as soon as I can extend, I get that second hand on the gun. So running from the appendix carry position is not any more dangerous than anything else. Now for some people, body types and builds, it may not work. But for those of us who can use it, it gives us some advantages. We can get to the gun with our weak hand, we can fight to the gun in close quarters much easier. And again, it's just a really fast and efficient presentation even to the front.
Very good.
Cool.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.